Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. You got Jaime En Fuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. Gracias for joining, and this is more coverage coming from the first ever virtual version of the Chattanooga Film Festival in Tennessee. I got to check it out last weekend for the Memorial Day holiday, and the Beach House was one that I was definitely curious about because of its kind of sci-fi-ish with a little tinge of horror premise, and it definitely delivered. This is writer-director Jeffrey A. Brown's directorial debut. He had done a feature directorial debut, I should specify. He'd done a couple shorts beforehand and had also worked as like a location scout, I believe, and a couple other miscellaneous crew stuff on his IMDb. But this is the first big-time thing the dude is behind, and fairly simple story, at least initially, in the fact that you have this couple and they are vacationing in this beach house, and that's not to be confused with a film from like 2 years ago called Beach House. This is The Beach House. In any event, that was a Hallmark movie that you have probably no business checking out, but this one was solid, and so this couple is trying to just add the kind of boyfriend, seemingly's vacation property that his father just kind of says, hey, sort yourself out, we know you've dropped out of school, and, you know, try to rekindle things with your lady and kind of get your head straight. So they arrive there, they get down on the get down, and then even after the sex, like, you can tell she's despondent and kind of detached, distracted, and in turn, there is a little bit of discussion about, hey, maybe we could stay here and live here. And she's like, no, I'm trying to, you know, finish this. I believe it was a chemist degree or chemistry, something like that. In any event, yes, heady stuff, and he's trying to dissuade her from finishing up this immense amount of work that she has already done just because he's having personal problems and, you know, the whole reassessing, what does it all mean sort of thing. And so, yeah, it's there's definitely trouble in paradise, but that is kind of askewn and taken away at least from the mindset because of the fact that even though they're thinking they're going to be all alone at this place, lo and behold, a couple that knows dude's father just randomly show up, and there's equal surprise on both sides of each older and younger couple respectively that either of them are there. They're like, whoa, I didn't know you were going to be here. They're like, oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. And yet they bond and they have an evening of kind of drinking and telling stories and you know, just reminiscing about the dude when he was younger, and you know, telling stories about, you know, the father and friendship there and their recollections of you know, him when he was a kid. And so, yeah, I mean, they endear themselves to each other, and yet peeps start to get a little more fudged up after they realize, okay, there's nothing else for us to drink. And so the younger dude, the son of the owner of the property, is like, well, I've got some edibles. Y'all want to get down? And that's where the film takes kind of its twisty psychedelic turn and veers into the sci-fi territory. And the fact that, yeah, they have this kind of tripped out night and people sleep late, and yet when they awaken the next morning, there's kind of a weird fog on the windows that has kind of, you know, just swept in from the beach, and it's kind of taking over the entire coast. And so very weird, kind of eerie. And you know, the lady of in that older couple, she's acting a little strange, and they go down to the beach with the older guy. He acts strange and just like goes and wades out into the water, and then suddenly the son of the property owner, the boyfriend, so to speak, he starts feeling just hideously ill. He goes back to the beach house, he starts puking, and this is probably the most gnarly scene maybe in the entire movie, at least early on, without giving a full spoiler as to what happens in the third act, because in these Rapido Fuego reviews I try not to go into too much detail. But these weird, like, pod-looking things essentially start sweeping up onto the shore, and yes, the girlfriend of the younger guy, who is essentially our final girl, our lead character in this film, her foot gets all cut up, and this weird, like, slug worm looking thing like goes into her foot, seriously. And so she's freaking out, and she stumbles back to the beach house, and boyfriend is in the bathroom puking his guts out. Yeah, characters are disappearing, things are getting extremely weird by this point, and she essentially like cuts open her foot to see this nasty worm looking thing that is in her foot, and, you know, she's trying to, you know, disinfect the wound after she's trying to cut this thing out, and it's a really gnarly scene. It's grotesque. It's really some of the only times the science fiction veers into horror at times in this film, but really for the most part there, while it's shot in a very interesting visual manner, especially with some of the lighting done and just the foggy nature in and of itself. Really at that point it goes into them just trying to figure out what exactly is going on, and just kind of jumping from house to house and trying to get a sense for the full extent of this disaster that's going down. And that's about as much as I can divulge without really veering into that spoiler territory, as I said, that I'm trying to just to adhere away from. And yeah, this was, while not a perfect film, the acting was a little wooden for me at times. The lead, she was solid enough, but she didn't absolutely wow me. But strong performance, as it strong enough, I guess. Everybody else was, decent chemistry, but nothing to write home about. This is really, more so than anything, I like just that concept of what sort of disaster and what is the full extent of it that's transpiring. So yeah, this was a very solid Bueno 3 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs, and yes, it's one to keep an eye out for, because the purveyor of edgier science fiction, horror, and thrillers, which is Shudder, actually acquired this after it was world debuted at the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival back in October of last year. So yeah, I can't say I'm surprised at the fact that it was a very solid directorial debut, and Jeffrey A. Brown is somebody who, after we get through the cycle of this film, I look forward to see what this dude can do in the future, because from both a writing standpoint and from a directorial standpoint, I enjoyed this thoroughly. My only issue was a little bit of the acting here and there, but everything else was very solid, impressive, and yes, very cool debut. So I've been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find moi on all social media sectors: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, just like you see spelled below, and at least here on my channel, it sticks more so to the art house science fiction, drama. I do veer into bigger budget, geeking out with Star Wars and comic book films and stuff like that. I do an animated Monday. I do a retro Fuego Thursday, where I look at a film that I either don't recall very well at all from the past, or one that I have never checked out previously. I also do a Star Wars Saturday and a Saturday. You can guess what sort of film I cover there. So, but if you like stuff that is full-on spooktacular, definitely make sure to check out youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. That is unlike this one, where I only have 1,000 subscribers. Over there we have over 33,000, so that is definitely the bigger outlet for discussion, but that doesn't mean that I am not very grateful for you making your way over here. And so like, share, subscribe. It means a hell of a lot. And yes, once again, I totally recommend The Beach House. Keep your eye out for it on Shudder. And yeah, everybody, that's going to do it. So until the real Upca comes around once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos, on constant readers and viewers alike, say thank you. I'm hopeful that we share this palaver once again sooner rather than later. Peace.